The voice that never leaves. A story about trusting your inner guide. Let me take a few moments to share something with you. Something that might sound simple at first, but if you let it settle into your heart, it has the power to shift the way you live your entire life. It's a story about a quiet voice, a voice that never raises itself, a voice that doesn't beg for your attention, a voice that waits, patiently, lovingly, for you to turn toward it. I call it the inner guide. Some people call it the higher self. Others call it intuition, essence, soul, or source. It doesn't really matter what name you use. What matters is that you begin to recognize it, to trust it, to listen when it speaks. I first understood this concept not from a book or a lecture or some big spiritual awakening. I learned it through a story told to me by someone I deeply admire, someone I consider one of the wisest people I've ever met. Her name was Maya. Now, Maya wasn't the type of person who made a scene when she walked into a room. She didn't try to impress, but somehow her presence spoke volumes. She had this incredible inner stillness, not because her life had been easy, but because she had made peace with the parts of it that weren't. We were sitting under a quiet tree one late afternoon when she turned to me and said, "I trust my inner guide." It was such a simple sentence, but the way she said it, it was like someone opening a window in a stuffy room. I asked her what she meant and she smiled. "Most people are looking out there," she said, motioning toward the world around us. "Outward, at people, at problems, at outcomes. But everything you're looking for, everything you're trying to become, is already inside of you. Your only job is to listen to the part of you that already knows." Maya explained that this inner guide, this deeper self, is always evolving through our life experiences. Every joy, every loss, every ordinary moment, they all teach this inner part of us something. And here's the beautiful part. It always chooses the best feeling option available. Not the most logical, not the safest, but the one that resonates with love, compassion, truth, and alignment. So, when we're angry, when we're judging others, when we're criticizing ourselves, we feel bad not because we're wrong, but because we're out of sync with what our inner guide knows. Think about that. When you feel bad, it's not punishment. It's a signal. It's your system letting you know, hey, this thought doesn't match the truth of who you are. Maya put it beautifully. She said, "Your inner guide never criticizes, never condemns, never pulls away. It keeps broadcasting love, always. It's just up to you to tune into it." She compared it to a radio signal. The broadcast is always on, always strong, always centered in well-being. But if you're tuned to a different frequency, one based on fear, scarcity, or resentment, you can't hear it clearly. That's when you start to feel disconnected, anxious, or lost. And here's the part that really got me. She said, "You want to feel better? Start telling better stories." I asked her what she meant by that, and she explained, "We're all storytellers. All day long, you're telling stories about who you are, how your body works, how much money you have, how people treat you, whether or not things are going to work out. Every time you think a thought, you're telling a little part of your story. But most of us are telling stories we don't even like, stories that don't empower us, stories we wouldn't want written on the walls of our own lives." She looked at me and said gently, "If the story you're telling doesn't feel good to tell, stop telling it. Because when you begin to consciously choose better feeling stories, even before anything changes on the outside, you start to shift your vibration. You begin to line up with your inner guide. And from there, everything else follows. You see, your inner guide doesn't need proof. It doesn't need external validation. It doesn't wait until things are perfect to feel good. It already knows your worth. It already sees your potential. It already knows the way forward, and it's always leading you toward more love, more clarity, more ease. So the question becomes, are you willing to listen? Are you willing to trust the part of you that feels like peace, even when your mind is racing. Because every time you choose compassion over criticism, every time you speak about yourself with love instead of shame, every time you focus on a dream with hope instead of doubt, you align with your inner guide. You open the channel. You become a vessel for something far greater than fear. And when you do that, when you trust that quiet voice and allow yourself to feel good without needing permission, you begin to access the kind of power that creates worlds. Not because you've earned it, but because it was always yours. So today, I invite you to start small. Tell a better story about one thing in your life. Speak to yourself the way your inner guide would. And when you feel joy or relief or even the tiniest flicker of peace, trust it. That's your confirmation. That's the voice that never leaves. That's you, finally tuning into the truth of who you really are.